Testing. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Let me know if you guys can hear me loud and clear. Happy Friday, everybody. So it's Friday, it's panel debate night. Yes. And tonight it's a little light. It's a little light of a topic. We're going to talk about the BET Awards and the Soul Train Awards being canceled. Yes. Why? Is it because of some people say the curse of Fat Joe? Is it because of, the invasion of outsiders who don't understand FBA culture? Or is it because today's hip hop generation is just corny? We're going to talk about it. So, thank you guys for being here. Please like the video, share the video on all your social media outlets. I am streaming this on X. So, shout out to everybody on X. And we're going to have some fun. However, Katalia, hi. Starting next week, though, our panel debates / discussions are going to be more serious, more in depth. Well, this is going to be in depth too, because the people I have come on, they're intellects, they're smart, but it's going to be more, I would say, gaslighting trigger warnings for the next topics going forward, right? So yeah, so back from my little vacay from social media, and wanted to start off with something fun but informative. So let me bring in the panel. Hi, Divine.
Good. Been a long time no see on the panel, man. I appreciate you bringing me on tonight.
Yes. So it's been over a year.
Right.
You've been dodging me, but that's okay.
Never.
So introduce yourself to the people.
My name is Divine Prince. I'm actually in this reparations advocacy space. I am the president of the U.S. Freedmen Project. This is a topic near and dear to my heart, though, because outside of all that, I come from a multi-generational New Yorker family by way of the Carolinas and Georgia. So, hip hop is in our blood here. But more importantly, so is delineation. And we'll get into that as this topic and this panel progresses.
Okay, let's bring in our next person, Consuelo. Hey, aka Miss Sway Me. How are you? Oh, we can't hear you.
I was muted. Okay,
Okay.
so how are you all tonight? Hi, Dana. How are you, Divine? I heard about you. I've never ever met you,
Right.
so it's good to know who you are and to see you now. So
Yeah.
I'm Consuelo Davis. I am an activist advocate. I'm also a reparationist. So I'm Sway Me on X.
Yeah, because several people on here do come from X. We have a lot of discussions on X, and sometimes it gets heated, but good discussion. Now, I'm supposed to have another person come on, Breadman, and he's not here. So I don't know. He may pop in a little bit later. I don't know. But honey, the show must go on. All right, so let's start here. Let me share this. Because okay, so the topic tonight: did BET destroy hip hop culture by suspending the biggest award show? So the Soul Train Awards and the Hip Hop Awards, is gone. So before I read the CEO's statement, I'll go to you, Consuelo. Did BET destroy hip hop culture by getting rid of the Hip Hop Awards?
I would say it's divine intervention because they were not that great for us anyway in the last few years, and there was some things happening with the BET Awards that we were not happy about anyway, right? As a community, they were getting out of hand with some of the performances. The Soul Train Awards, that was something that I think is very Soul Train's very near and dear to us because of Don Cornelius and him starting that. So I really don't. I wasn't always happy with BET knowing that they were not owned by us anymore, having the Soul Train Awards anyway. So I just saw it as, again, them in media capitalizing on our and exploiting our culture, and then denigrating us at the same time and spreading propaganda about our community.
Devon?
Yeah, the short answer I'm gonna go with is no. So if you want more than that, I could definitely give it to you now. But before, after you read the statement, I'm cool either way. But I want to go with your directing.
Yeah. Okay. So you're saying no, they did not destroy hip hop culture by getting rid of the award show.
Not at all. I don't think because we are hip hop culture. I don't think anything or anybody could destroy it but us. So if we don't do it, then it can't be done. And at this point, it's just such an intricate part of our culture. As socially, foundational Black Americans, like we are that culture, and so they can't destroy it. And also, I look at it in this way, sort of like if you are into landscaping or any type of gardening, you understand that sometimes you got to prune the bushes, right? And since I'm on here with two lovely sisters, sometimes you gotta cut off them split ends so that the hair could grow back healthy. And so I think this is the space that we're in with them canceling the award shows for the foreseeable future, and us being in the middle of what most of us now call the Black American Renaissance. I think we are, in order to get something new, a lot of times you got to get rid of the old. And so I think this is a perfect opportunity for that, even if they didn't mean it in that way.
Well, I'm going to say that to answer the question, they contribute to destroying hip hop culture. And just a quick explanation to that is because the hip hop awards, hold on for a second. Sorry about that. I knew it was important. That's why I took it. So I'm going to say, because when you have hip hop awards, remember before back in the day, we had the Source Awards. Um, it was,
Right.
it was other platforms and outlets to honor and award hip hop artists. So BT was the last, because when VMAs, Grammys, we can't rely on that. Soul Train Award, same thing. So if you don't have these Black owned, Black control outlets, then how are we going to display hip hop culture, where, properly, or acknowledge or award it? Now, I'll go a little bit deeper in this conversation, because I do think, like I said in the intro, that today's hip hop is trash, and that could be part of the reason why the ratings were low. So I want to share the statement from the CEO of BET, Scott Mills. I guess I could do it like this. Yeah. All right. So he says, do me a favor, Devon, mute up. So if you're not talking, just mute, and then when you talk, just unmute, because I don't want to do it.
Uh,
So can you confirm the chatter that two of the annual shows in BET's award franchise, Soul Train and Hip Hop, are no longer being presented? I would say that it's less about them being no longer and more about our team having to reimagine them for this changing media landscape that we find ourselves in. I think what we're going to see are more people taking franchises and saying, this might have started on linear television, but now I'm going to move it to another space. Do I move it to streaming, or do I move it to another platform? So for now, BET linear we have suspended the Soul Train and Hip Hop Award shows, but we have a team that's actively thinking about where those award shows might best live as the media climate continues to evolve. They aren't gone. And we also still have the NAACP Image Awards and the Stella Awards. Like, dude, that is so lame. So, yeah. So, Scott Mills, he is the CEO. It was completely black owned, but Bob Johnson sold it to Viacom, what, over a decade ago, but the heads of BET were all black. I don't know if it's like a essence to where did they bring in more black immigrants. I don't think that's the case here. I just think that I think it's the other because now a lot of people are saying it's the curse of Fat Joe. And you have other we had this debate of who created hip hop. Was it FBA or black immigrants, Caribbeans, Jamaicans, or what have you? And then Fat Joe, he was saying Latinos, Hispanics, and stuff like that. And he was hosting the BET Awards. Their ratings have been very low. Like I said, the artistry to me has been kind of trash. So now we no longer have Soul Train and Hip and BET Awards, which was the mecca of um black music and hip hop culture. So what say you guys to the CEO's statement? And I do see Brett.
I'll let Divine go first because I have some thoughts. Go ahead, Divine.
So thank you. I appreciate that. So what I would say is, at the end of the day, it is a business, right? And so he had to make a business decision. I think it's a plethora and a combination of things. And I think, I've heard that the curse of Fat Joe, but I think there is a curse going on, but I don't think it's a Fat Joe per se. I think it's the curse of, and not because our ancestors are cursed, but it's the curse coming from our ancestors, right? Like in this point in time, if you go back just a couple of months, we saw those plantations burning down, and those that are coming up against us and speaking out against our ethnic group in the middle of this renaissance. I think justice is being meted out swiftly, right? And so I think there's also a call for authentic sources of our culture and accurate representation. And so I do agree with you on that point alone, Sister Dana, when you say it could possibly have an adverse reaction. I wouldn't say destroy hip hop, but it definitely can have a negative effect on it if the award shows are canceled for good and nothing takes its place. But I'm hoping, like I said, that does not happen, and it paves the way for us to come out with something more authentic. I've heard, rumblings, and people have been talking about it. What about a, Foundational Black American Music Awards, right? Something that is put on for us by us again. And I think this gives it opportunity. I mean, that may even be something that can be started on a small scale before it can get to a grand scale, like anything else. Um, but I do believe, like I said, that it's less of a Fat Joe curse and more of a curse of our ancestors. Anybody that's coming up against us and speaking out about us, especially in some negative fashion that was accepted in the past, but no longer will be accepted moving forward. Man, that it's you see all these people and individuals and groups, getting instant karma. They don't have to wait for it no longer. It's like instant.
Let me Bradman, are you there? Because we can't hear.
Yes, I'm here. I have
Oh,
my mic on mute. Is
oh, okay.
my audio okay?
Yeah, your audio's good. I guess you didn't want to show your face, but that's all right.
Well, as New York as you talk, I forgot you were on Eastern time, so I'm thinking you right here, in Central with me. So I'm working my
Oh,
way. Yeah, but I'm good. I'm locked in.
okay.
My apologies for being late, though. Salute to the panel.
Yeah. So introduce yourself real quick, Bradman.
My name is Breadman, and I'm just country, Southern Baptist from Houston, Texas. I talk loud. I like to be funny, and I just come with hard takes. I speak from the heart, I speak from the mind, I speak from experience. So yeah, and thank you to Dana for having me up.
So I want to ask you a question. This is the topic. Did BET destroy hip hop culture by suspending their biggest award shows, the Soul Train and Hip Hop Awards? Do you think they're destroying hip hop culture by doing that?
No, the writing was pretty much, it's been on the wall for a while. And this started maybe like several years ago. Um, they can't even pull in A-list performances from our community. So when we say, BET Black Entertainment, so we're looking to Beyonce, we're looking to the Rihannas, we're looking to legacy performers. For whatever reason, these people are positioned and they are hands up. They want to have nothing to do with being on the card with a sexy red. They want nothing to do with being on the card with some of this foolery, respectfully, that's just being put out. There's microwave music, so you're dealing with two factions, and they only been working with one. They've been putting on B car performers, and it's just not cutting it. And I almost liken it to the Essence Festival. The same thing happened with the Essence Festival. If you're not tapped into the culture, you will never be able to get this right. I heard the brother say something, maybe focusing more on FBA. People are being more educated, they're being more enlightened at a faster rate every day. A lot of people don't want to hear this foolishness, or it's not something that you're going to sit down around the TV and watch on national television. A lot of people don't even have cable no more. So you have to be able to touch a certain audience, and it has to be purposeful for people to give you their attention. People not just turning the TV on and just letting it go no more. You know what I mean? So people are a lot more conscious on what they're doing with their time.
Okay.
That's my opinion.
All right, so I'm gonna play this clip here because Fat Joe Jada Kiss, they have a podcast called Joe and Jada. Like everybody got, all these celebrities got podcasts now, and they're talking about the BET.
BET is canceling the BET Hip Hop Awards and the Soul Train Awards. That's like a loss for the culture. What'd you say?
This is a form of gentrification what's going on right now. So BET came up as a community station for black people. Bob Johnson, he sold it to Viacom and Paramount, VH1 and them. Little by little over the years, they've been firing a lot of people behind the scenes in BET, and everybody who has something to say, they've been firing them and this and this and that. And I know because I've been working on the BET Hip Hop Awards for 3 years, the budget
just kept getting
chopped. They kept underfunding them, and you ain't got no money to be creative. That's why you was watching the Ratchet Awards and all that. They ain't had no bread.
They have bread for what they want to have bread for.
No Soul Train, no BET Awards, but guess what? We got the VMAs.
Those ain't for us.
But the point is, that's your answer in a nutshell. That's what happened.
They left us with one award show.
Yeah, but they got I think the main BET Awards.
No, the BET regular awards is still there.
Yeah.
But that's still a little topsy-turvy.
Oh, no, that's a second away. The writing's on the wall. If you see everything else falling down as a domino, that's the next one. One little fumble by Kevin Hart, one little joke too many, that shit over too. And I got a lot of friends at VMAs and MTV, and I love you guys. But, sometimes the goal is to buy your project to suppress you. Some big company might come and be like, yo, we want to buy Rewind to 10. Throw us the Billy. And then shut it down. Yeah. Like, yo, this shit got to go. We got to keep this thing moving. Who knows? That's just our take on Joe and Jada.
Yeah. Save hip hop.
Save hip hop.
Save the awards.
Consuelo, what do you he said it's gentrified.
He's a gentrifier. But anyway, he's been working with them for years, and he said they were cutting the budget, and that's why we got the ratchetness. But he went along with it, right? And on top of that, he never ever said, hey, BET, or told the people, hey, let's let BET know how much we really want them to put some more money into the BET Hip Hop Awards, and then also cater to the demographic. He knew all of that then, so why didn't he advocate? So that's where I'm at with, you already know. We're not too fond of Fat Joe.
Mhm. So culture, impact, and representation, right? Has BET suspension of major hip hop awards categories effectively silenced the voices and achievement of hip hop artists at a time when genre dominates global music culture? Or does this represent a necessary evolution in how we celebrate Black entertainment? So now we're talking about culture, impact, and representation. Like, and this is why I'm saying this is part of somewhat of the destruction, because we don't have any outlets of proper representation. But Devon, what you were saying, that sometimes you gotta kill something in order for something more fruitful to grow in its place. Right? Anybody want to jump in and comment to that? Let me stop sharing this for a second.
Yeah, I just want to say to Sway's point, right? Like, man, like just the it always boggles my mind when I see that level of lack of self-awareness, right? And tone deafness. Like and can we bring up other people's names on this show?
Yeah.
Okay. So the legendary star from Star and Buck Wild, I think he said it best. Like he was, I saw a clip of him and he was saying, like, yo, eventually Jada's going to have to pick a side. You know what I'm saying? Like we we F with Jada heavy, right? And when I first saw that he had a podcast coming up with Joe, I'm like, what are you doing? Like, you couldn't get Sheik loose, like you couldn't get nobody from the locks, like you could have got anybody, right? But
Mm-hmm.
to get Joseph Cartagena, like it just never made no sense to me. And they sitting there talking about, or he's talking about gentrification as a gentrifying conquistador. You know what I mean? Like it's wild. And Jada's sitting there listening to him and saying we and us, and this is kind of where we at. And I think that was one of the major contributing factors to it becoming to for the reality that we see now for it to be the case. And Sway had a great point. And this is why he was elevated, or one of the reasons why. When
Right.
it's not your culture, how and when and if it gets exploited will have less of an impact on you, if any impact at all, while it's happening. And so
Right.
for the last 3 years, now you want to document how they kept messing with the budget and shrinking it down. But at no point did you ring the alarm. At no
Mm-hmm.
point did you say, yo, look what y'all doing to these awards that help elevate me, that I'm out here promoting, that's for the culture. Nah, he just collected his check and kept it pushing. Why? Because he's not a part of the culture.
Right.
He's a fellow gentrifier that was there to exploit it, just like the people that bought it from Bob Johnson and did whatever they did with it while they was doing it for the last 3 years.
So do you okay? So Fat Joe, when you look at when he first came out on the scene with his first albums, I wouldn't say he was gentrifying hip hop. I back then. I think now, definitely gentrifying it, commercializing it, and moving away from being authentic hip hop. Because when you start talking about how uh Caribbeans, created hip hop, because he said he didn't say Hispanics, he said Caribbeans. I think him, Busta Rhymes, and all of them or whatever. They created hip hop, and did Tariq Nasheed drop the documentary and microphone check and everything. So and then for a while we had this big, I wouldn't say rift, but this big online discussion and debate, and sometimes it was taken offline to who created hip hop, FBA or Black immigrants, right? And this started over a year ago. So fast forward, who was the guy? It was a Black guy. He was the executive director behind the scenes. He was putting an award show together, and they let him go. I forgot his name. He's dating Shantae Moore right now. And he's been gone from BET for over 2-3 years. And I noticed when he left, the ratings, the show production went down. So BT, and then like Fat Joe was saying, they were cutting the budget. True. But then when you have people like him and all these other artists saying, well, it's not a Black American thing, it was Caribbean, and we have this debate on who created hip hop, that's not good for ratings. And then three, when you look at the artists that we have today, it's they're trash. Raekwon, he's coming out with an album, he dropped a single, and he even said it. He was like, the rappers today are not creative at all. They're really not that talented. So, I think it's a combination of things that maybe BET didn't have a choice but to let it go.
I have like a two-part answer on this. The first thing, because I think we get it twisted on what BET was and what it meant to the culture, and so the the lack of branding for over the past 15 years has brought us to this point. Because a lot of people don't understand that, you know, I'm not buying that. That's oopty wop when they're saying, oh, they cut the budget, we can't pay nobody to come perform, because that's not even how entertainment works. BET, these award shows, especially BET in the day, they had a certified brand where it was incumbent on that artist to show up and show out, regardless if they was getting paid or not. It didn't have nothing to do with the money. A lot of people on the card would show up and perform for free because they knew what it was. That's when they were selling hard albums, hard product, barcodes. So it was a win-win for any artist that showed up. That kind of faded, and it's not because it's just the award shows, it's because of the branding leading into the award shows. I can ask y'all right now, do y'all watch BET for anything? No. They don't have any programming. They don't have no news on there. They don't have no information. They don't have anything that they used to have. Not even the videos. Like, it's washed. So that's what led up to this happening. They have no brand. They have no pull. They have no machismo no more. They the little kids on the block. They're like Eddie Kane from the Five Heartbeats coming back on the back end. Talk about I still got it. You don't got it no more, big coach, and that's all. That's period. So when it's like that, really, I don't care how much you pay. You're gonna have to give me your whole budget for me to show up. And we just talking one artist. They have destroyed. They have destroyed their brand. Point blank. Period. And that's my take on it.
I, that's a good segue to talk about the BET. Is the BET brand destroyed? I think, yeah, I agree with you, Brett, man, because I remember back in the day they had Teen Summit. What was the show that Donnie Simpson used to host? They had a
Donnie
news.
Simpson, 106 in Park, all that stuff.
Right. They even had news shows, no, that was TV1 with Roland Martin. But who was the guy? He was the first person to interview OJ Simpson after the verdict. He's a well-renowned journalist. I forgot his name, but they don't have none of that. They don't talk about the news. They just play rerun old shows or just garbage. So I couldn't tell you the last time I watched BT. I know Tyler Perry is putting his shows on BT Plus, trying to revitalize it, but I think it lost its touch, the purpose. What is the purpose of BT?
They won't even break bread. Okay, so oh my God, now we're getting into it, and then I'm gonna come back to the show because it show you how they work. Maybe it's because when it got sold, but they don't they won't even invest in the syndication. You see what I'm saying? They should have every black show that we grew up on, every heavy hitter, Martin, Sanford and Son, y'all help me out, 227,
Good
anything that
times.
good times, anything that you grew
The
up watching,
Jefferson.
they don't want to buy none of that. They don't want to buy none of that. You know how that would keep your program going? just for people to lock in. People still watch that stuff, but you don't even want to put the money to invest in legendary syndicated black shows. You got black shows, Flex, In the House, all the shows from UPN. I would have went and got all the black UPN shows, Living Single. You see what I'm saying? Let me get that catalog. Y'all ain't doing nothing with it. They don't want to date. They don't want to invest in that. And then when you look at the shows, who was Sway on the committee? Like, do they have a committee? Is Sway speaking from the committee standpoint, or he speaking from the outside?
Who?
Sway in the morning. I heard somebody say Sway.
They were on BET?
Is he on the? Is there
He's
a
on
committee?
Sirius FM, right? He has his own
Okay,
on Sirius
so
FM.
he's not on the committee that would be putting that show together. You got Joe
No.
Budden that got one of the hottest podcasts out right now. He's not on the committee. They don't have a conglomerate. Snoop Dogg Legacy. He can come in once a year and tell you what to do with the damn thing, and it's gonna do what it do. They don't have no committee of people that made BET. They had basically they turned their back on the culture. If y'all understand what I'm trying to put down.
I totally agree with you, and I didn't think of that. That's a good point, because why are you not bringing in syndicating podcasters? Listen, Joe Budden, I know he has a deal with I don't know if it's Spotify or whatever, but there are other podcasters that you could be highlighting, that have 500,000 subscribers on YouTube, and technically that will be considered small for mainstream media, but it could be up and coming podcasts. It's so many things they could have done to make it more modern, but more what do you call it, of substance. Now, why is it that Teen Summit never was recreated or reinvented in 2025, or in the last 5 years? So they wasn't thinking about none of that. So I totally agree with you with that. Did you want to say anything, Devon?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, shout out to him for what Brett just put down. Absolutely, those are some great ideas they could have done. You also talked about the brother that is with Shantae Moore that left, right? We don't know
Stephen Hill. That was his name. Thank you, Catalia. Stephen Hill.
Stephen Hill. So I don't know. Let me not say we don't know. I don't know all the inner workings of who are in positions of power and or positions of influence and decision making at BET right now, or who has been there for a while, right? But clearly, it is people that are out of touch and not in touch with the culture, right? And so I think what has happened to them, to piggyback on everything that you guys have said, because I agree with it wholeheartedly, I think one of the more important factors from my viewpoint is that at the same time as they were expressing and showing how out of touch they were, the culture is shifting beneath their feet. And so when things don't feel or appear to be authentic, like that is what's so important right now. That's why you see in the midst of, hip hop being in the condition that it's currently in, you see a Kendrick Lamar blow up and have all the success that he had, and makes his way to the Super Bowl with an anthem, essentially a Black American anthem, like They're Not Like Us, takes over the world, right? And so this is kind of just what has been happening. And I think a Fat Joe only helped to contribute to that, because he was a constant reminder of how out of touch and disconnected he was from the culture. At the same time, the culture was shifting from what he probably grew up and felt was the norm and was always going to be the case. It was a quick shift to know that's no longer the case. And BET, based on all reports and just circumstances, seemed to be tied or tethered, if you will, to what was not in touch with the culture.
Right. So do you guys think that BET was, a big instrumental part in legitimizing hip hop? Because even, back in the
Most
day.
definitely.
Yes, I agree. Yes, because it was owned by Bob Johnson when when hip hop was really becoming hot, right? When the rest of the world or the dominant culture said hip hop would not last. And
But
then you have
real quick, Consuelo,
uh-huh.
because I will push back a little bit there because when BET was heavy on the scene under Bob Johnson direction, they were kind of slow to the punch to really showcase hip hop. It wasn't so, but eventually when they did like the 106 in Park, to me, that's when they started really pushing hip hop. And that's when I'm saying like they did play a good part in legitimizing hip hop because BET was more so R&B and the news and Teen Summit. It was clean. I don't want to say clean, but it was clean, professional, or let's say high class. So
But until 10 o'clock, Dana. You see what I'm saying? If you stayed up, if you stayed up till 10, if your parents let you stay up till 10, you was gonna see eventually what you was there to see. Not to interrupt y'all, but and so that's why I agree they kind of did like they kept it alive, like because like you said, they had the mainstream black on lock, but they gave him that spot. Somebody said, just give us this little spot right here. Let us work with this, and we saw what it blew up into.
true, but I think that hip hop made. I mean, I think BET when they was really pushing hip hop, that really made hip hop more legit to where yes, they could be in the room with C-suites. So that's how I look at it. When they started really pushing hip hop, whether it's 106 in Park or the BET After Dark, when they show all the raunchy stuff, which they will put it after dark now, it got to a point where they didn't care. They kind of placed hip hop on a C-suite kind of level. And then, because we seen throughout the decades, a lot of these artists, they were getting these multi-million dollar branding deals and stuff like that. So I think BET kind of helped clean the hip hop image because Source Awards, that was ghetto.
Oh yeah, people was getting stabbed at the Source Awards. Very
You talking
very viral
real
hood
street
moments.
gangsters. Yeah, that I mean it was popping, but it was some real street dudes, coming to the Source Awards. And then but it's like coming on BT is it kind of cleaned it. You get what I'm saying? So, you know, that's just how I'm looking at it. That's just how I'm looking at it.
I
Um
think so. Just to piggyback on what you just said, I don't think it like it legitimized it or anything. What I feel like is it gave them a mainstream platform, right? So hip hop was already taking place, like you said. We did have the Source Awards, and obviously it was happening wherever it was already happening, and it was well established in our culture. What BET did was it was labeled right black, and so what they did was they took this black channel and this black culture and said, "Here, this is what it could be, or this is what it is." Like you said, they had a cutoff, right? When you wanted to see it unfiltered, quote unquote, you had to stay up to 10 o'clock, right? And then you got a chance to see, all the stuff that we were already seeing, but mainstream wasn't seeing. And so it kind of just, like I said, it gave it a platform to bring it into to households. And I don't mean just like non-black households, right? Because there were some black households that wasn't looking at it like that either. But because of all the other programming that it had, it put it alongside a teen summit. It put it alongside, news. It put it alongside these serious um, topics and areas of interest, and just said, here, hip hop is one of those serious areas of interest as well. So I would say that.
How you
you
let a decade How you let a decade of artists like Kendrick Lamar, you barely had your hands on them, no interviews. Remember they used to do in the streets? They would come to your hood. They would catch them early in the middle of their career, wherever. Go back to where they came from. J.
what
Cole, you never had your hands on them. Who else?
what about Rap City? I mean, that
Rap
was
City, the
on
basement,
BET,
all of that.
right? Yeah.
All of that.
Yes.
Yep.
And so my thing is they just took their hands off the wheel because it was a point where they was in control of this. So even though we getting subpar music, BET still had the capability to curate. You understand what I'm saying? A legacy and legendary artists, and I feel like they just lost touch with that. They don't know what's going on because if you look at the top artists, and everybody don't want to hear I don't want to cuss. Everybody don't want to hear Sexy Red. I'm gonna keep getting on her. Everybody don't want to hear Glorilla. A lot of the stuff people don't even, they get in the car and they turn their music off. You know what I mean? But they
Right.
had the power and the capability to say, okay, well, that's dope, but this where we going for black people, and they just missed that. They dropped the ball on that. They dropped the ball on that.
I was just looking at Hits from the Street. I used
Hits
to
from the
love
street.
that. Right? I'm
Girl,
just reminiscing, y'all.
yes.
Nostalgia right now.
So I want to switch it up, right? I want to bring this. Which one was it? Oh, before I get to the Beyonce thing. Actually, no, let's go to Beyonce. Why Megyn Kelly? Because y'all seen the whole viral thing with the American Eagle jeans, right? And Beyonce came out with her jean line with Levi's, and Megyn Kelly is coming after Beyonce, saying that she's copying Sydney Sweeney. So Megyn Kelly tweets out, "This is the opposite of Sydney Sweeney ad. Quite clearly, there is nothing natural about Beyonce. Everything from her image to her fame, to her success, to her look below is bought and paid for, screams artificial, fake, enhanced, trying too hard." Why is she coming for Beyonce? And it's like, leave Beyonce alone, because, honey, I am part of the Beehive. But she looks good, and she's doing her own thing. And I want to play this clip here.
So Beyonce posted a Levi's ad that she did recently this week, and she's in all denim, of course, because it's Levi's. And there's been a huge conversation around Sydney Sweeney, who did an ad for American Eagle. Now, when Sydney Sweeney did the ad, the text on the ad, or the theme of the ad, was Sydney Sweeney has good genes, Jeans. People were upset because they were saying that this is racially charged, because what are good genes? Like, you get it because she's white.
Well, it was first of all, I think the backlash was ridiculous, but it was the commentary around the video as well. Because if you listen to the commentary, it says something about her eyes, and then it says
blonde hair, blue eyes,
or something like that.
Yes. Now, I will say American Eagle came out when all the backlash was happening, and they said Sydney Sweeney has great genes. It is and always about the genes, her story. We'll continue to celebrate how everyone wears their American Eagle jeans with confidence their way. Great jeans look good on everyone, right? So they're like, listen, y'all are reaching at nothing. We weren't trying to be racial at all, whatever the case may be. But anyway, so Megyn Kelly gets online because Beyonce posts her photo and her good jeans. And Megyn Kelly says, this is opposite of Sydney Sweeney's ad. Quite clearly, there is nothing neutral about Beyonce. Everything from her image to her fame to her success to her look below is bought and paid for. Screams artificial, fake, enhanced, trying too hard.
Who said that?
Megyn Kelly.
Megyn Kelly. A clown.
That started the conversation because people were like, first of all, who are you to talk about anybody's body? Secondly, now people are comparing the two ads, Sydney Sweeney and Beyonce, just because they're saying if Sydney Sweeney could have this ad and do these things, and y'all want to say it's not about anything but her looks and how great she's doing for the brand, because allegedly the stock went up. American Eagle stock went up once Sydney Sweeney's ad dropped. Why can't Beyonce do her Levi's and Megyn Kelly stay out of her business?
Exactly. And Megyn Kelly would never be up for an ad. Never, with that chiseled goddamn face. Don't play. Don't do that.
Yeah, and Lizzo entered the chat as well, but this was before the Beyonce back and forth. This was when Sydney Sweeney first posted it. Lizzo posted herself in Levi, and she
Why
said,
she playing, yo?
she said if the Democrats won the election, because it's turned into like Democrats versus Republican, because there was a story that came out where they went and found Sydney Sweeney's voting history, and allegedly she was listed as a Republican voter and all the things. But Lizzo was being funny, and it was funny.
I know Sydney Sweeney is probably like, yo, I didn't even do nothing.
All I did was just post a
Just
picture.
take
a picture.
Just I got a great opportunity to do an ad for American Eagle, and this is what y'all got from it.
Yeah,
literally.
People are too woke.
I can't wait until people find out how much of this is really just social engineering. You know what I mean? Because
I can't take them for too long, but yeah. So I just want to get y'all quick response on that, because anything that people try to say something negative about Beyonce, I have to talk about it, because nobody's not going to come for Beehive, honey.
You wanna go ahead and I know you got Pierce Morgan in the chamber, right? You want to go put him on blast too, Dana?
Oh, what did he say?
Yeah, he jumped in on it. He got on the panel and said that I guess bouncing off of what Megyn Kelly said, he was taking up for her, and he was like, he called Beyonce in the blonde wig, in her ad, because it's kind of like a Marilyn Monroe-esque. You know what I mean? I thought it was dope. He called her a culture appropriator. Oh my God. Yo, you can't make this up. You can't make this up.
I didn't even see that. I didn't see that.
Piers Morgan said that Beyonce was culturally appropriating the white community, Marilyn, because she was
the blonde hair.
up there because she was up there looking like Marilyn Monroe. That's a fact.
Did anybody else want to comment on that? Because I'm trying to find that clip.
I mean, Beyonce's doing her thing, and for Megyn Kelly to come at her just because of her jean ad with another brand, and she's creating her own brand, to me is just jealousy. And she's looking really good, right, in her ads. And Megyn Kelly is not in the position of Beyonce. She probably would love to be Beyonce herself. So that's where I'll go with that, because why is she bringing up Beyonce and her Levi's brand, other than, hey, she has a brand, right? And then to say she's fake, I don't know anything about Beyonce having any plastic surgery. I'm not aware of anything like that. I think Beyonce's kept herself in the shape because she dances, she's active, and she's a beautiful Black American woman. And she's winning in entertainment, and they don't like it.
Yeah, I think just a real short is, especially when, nothing else is going on, they are always going to fall back onto the culture war, right? So Beyonce is an easy target because of all the success that Sway just pointed out. But at the same time, she is a part of this Black American Renaissance movement, right? Where her Americana, with the way in which she went on tour with country music and reclaiming that and pointing to the Black American roots of country music and reminding people that we created that genre as well. So, she's just going to be a target no matter what she does, especially by that group, because, they know that their bases will eat that up. What Beyonce represents at this point in time and how she's moving in that space.
I have a much stronger take. I wanted everybody to get theirs off because this might upset some people, but I'm gonna keep it funky. When you start to hear a certain community talk about jeans, you have to understand what they're promoting. And a lot of times, I don't think that you should let them do what they do. Give that woman Megyn Kelly a bullhorn. Let her sing it to the world. Let them gather the whole base. Somebody even said you're social engineering. But it's a let's keep it real. It is racist social engineering. You're making $1 at the expense of downing and taking us back in history and being racist against a particular community. That's point blank period. So when you say, oh, my jeans, she got jeans, this and that, I'm gonna keep it real. You talking about the sadistic, psychopathic, racist gene that dug this hole for America that we still trying to get our ass up out of. So you have to let them tell on themselves a lot of time. That is the gene that they talking about ain't done nothing good for America. It is a murderous, a pedophilic gene, a homosexual gene, and if they want to coalesce and gather together and promote that gene instead of trying to do better, then I think it's incumbent on us to let them do that, but especially give our commentary on what we see, and that's exactly what I see. Now we talk about the sister Beyonce. Um, I'm not offended by what Pierce Morgan said because he couldn't be more wrong than if it was nighttime, but it was daytime because Kylie Jenner, that is the essence of cultural appropriation. Kim Kardashian, the essence of cultural appropriation. Um we have gotten all these plastic surgeons. We made so many plastic surgeons millionaires, billionaires. Why? Because they all want big lips, they all want big asses, they all want big hips. So let's cut the crap and really get to it. But then they'll get mad at you once they open up the door and you come in and kick your feet up and start having this conversation, tell them really like it is. With that, I yield.
I want to play the clip because I didn't even hear about this, but he's under fire apparently from like a whole bunch of Dionne Warwick. She even got in on it coming at Piers Morgan.
Now, I presume, Ernest, you would share my view that this is a disgraceful, culturally appropriating moment where she is hijacking Marilyn Monroe in a disgraceful manner. In fact, borderline racist and possibly akin to the Nazis. Would you agree?
You actually don't know anything about cultural appropriation, Pierce. You're just hijacking words like woke, misusing them with your political bias, and trying to spin it into something that's not. Can
you answer the question?
Appropriation? You're wrong. Period.
Are you offended by Beyonce culturally appropriating Marilyn Monroe? Yes or no?
It's not culturally appropriating Marilyn Monroe. Marilyn Monroe did not invent blonde.
Interesting.
Did she invent blonde?
She's looking like Marilyn Monroe for a reason.
Can I jump in? Is this a traditional black hair?
No, hang on, Mike. I want to bring in Andrew Wilson. Andrew Wilson, what is amazing to me? But hang on, let me bring in Andrew. What's amazing to me, Sydney Sweeney, a hot white blonde in jeans, saying good jeans, disgraceful, world end, she's a Nazi, white supremacist.
You said
Beyonce culturally appropriating Marilyn Monroe, absolutely fine, in fact empowering. Andrew Wilson.
Yeah, this entire scandal is completely pushed by the left. What you guys should have done is just shut up. Should have just shut up. You shouldn't have said anything about it. This whole play on genes, it was just a clever piece of wordplay. That's it. Worked out real well. And what you did by all your Twitter accounts going crazy with this is you sold all of these genes out for this company, right? Made this chick tons of money, gave the right huge amounts of ammunition to use on you, where we just point and laugh because it's the dumbest controversy I've ever seen, and it's all pushed by woke lunatics, all of it.
I told you, Dana. I did not tell you.
Yeah, Pierce is full of shit. First of all, Beyonce, how old is she? 45, 42?
Looking like she's 30.
Right. So that's what I'm saying. And it is socially engineered. Like even the American Eagle ad with the left making it racist, and now then you have these white people are trying to take a popular black figure like Beyonce and throw her in the mix, saying, well, she's culturally appropriated. And it's like everyone sounds retarded right about now. So yeah. Anybody want to get in on that or comment on that?
Yeah, it wasn't really a fruitful discussion because it had to lead to something else political. Right. And then the fact of the matter is, I don't see her emulating Marilyn Monroe. I would say more of a Dolly Parton or somebody like that. And so I don't get his perspective at all.
Yeah. Give me a second.
I want to say, jeans and dye and jeans, indigo and all of that stuff. That was us that created the jeans, the blue jeans back in the day as well, right?
I read something on that. I did read something about that. Yeah. So, all right. So the Stockton City Manager Office announced an internal investigation after it claimed $50,000 in public funds were improperly used for an event introduced by Jason Lee, the vice mayor. According to the city manager, Steve Colangio,
Are you talking about the salacious Jason Lee? Or are we talking about
Yes, he is.
Oh, wow.
Mayor of Stockton, California. So they're saying that according to the city manager, Steve Colangelo, a city council member Jason Lee facilitated the use of $50,000 towards the event while and out without necessary approval. Additionally, Cole Angelo said he has concerns about how Lee engaged with city staff and event promoters. He said lines between policymaking and administration may have been crossed. The city's investigation will be reportedly determine how the alleged missing funds were authorized, who was involved, and whether any city policies or procedures were bypassed. So he was just elected into office this past November, and he's already stealing or misappropriating funds. the popular gossip columnist, podcaster. And it's like, and you know how he got in? Because nobody else was running. And a lot of times people need to understand local politics matter the most. You could easily get a position, get a name, mayor, vice mayor, council member, if you just put your hat in. Nobody was running. He saw an opportunity and he took it. And now I think he's abusing his power like a lot of politicians do, misappropriating funds. And that is a problem. Did y'all hear this?
Yeah, well, I'm glad that you said that last part. Cause I hate to defend Jason Lee, but I'm glad you said that last part. Like lot of the politicians do. And when we're talking about Jason Lee, and you're talking about local politics, you got to be ready to be born. So he already out of his league, and he set himself up for that because you see the tape. I guess it was Wildin' Out, the show that they spoke on. That's the show with Nick Cannon, and so. He is flamboyant. He's going to be aggressive in the way that he does his job. But when you talk about local, what do you call them? Local municipality, is that the word? It's extremely mundane. It's very boring. It's a lot of just come, sit, wait, don't talk, don't address let them get their stuff off, don't listen to them, don't engage. That's the norm, and that's how normal politicians are able to get away with it for so long. And so I halfway feel some type of way because they own his neck already. Because like you said, this really what they do all the time. But I think because of his nature, he basically put a target on his back. You know what I'm saying? But if you looked at the grand scheme of things, you know what I mean? It's probably business as usual. So I don't know. I'm kind of in the middle on this one, Dana.
Well, I would say from what I know in local politics, right, you only make so much as a salary. But then, people they get in these positions and then also they get these other perks. And then he probably with his name and things of that nature have come in and been able to, because of having that authority, thinking that he could do certain things that is beyond what is his duty and responsibility. I do believe people need to have some experience and training, right? Or have a position that is not necessarily has as much responsibility before you go in as a mayor or vice mayor, right? So you can know how things work. And then you can understand how budgets work and understand how you must engage with the public, and that you are a representation of the people, of your constituents in your area. And I really don't, for him, I mean, he's been more in entertainment. So I guess he's around people, but not like in the political sphere. So
It's some babies in this community in Stockton that could have used that $50,000. If you really want to get down to it, he could have used that money a lot better versus the Wild and Out show. He probably could have got them to do that for free. So I don't really understand it.
Yeah, the one thing I'll say is I'm definitely not here to cape for no Jason Lee or any of the Democrats at any point in time based on my experiences in politics and advocacy. But what I will say is that I've seen this happen way too many times, especially when it's, one of us or a non-white politician. I will say a lot of the way, especially when you come from a background of not having any experience in politics, there's always these type of little loopholes that could get you caught up. I'm not saying he did it or didn't do it with full intentions, know what he's doing. But I've seen it happen to people I've seen here right here in Brooklyn, grassroots level, people that had no experience that ran. And it was as simple as, okay, I could use the money for this, but I used it on this instead because I thought I could. But where they wouldn't press charges or make it a big thing if it was one of their people, when it's one of ours, it's like, nope, you broke up. That's an ethics violation, or that is a law that you wasn't really aware of that we could press charges on you with, and rather than sweep under the rug or just discipline you another way, we're gonna press full charges. And I've seen that happen with just money just not being stolen, but just being put in an area with which it was not. The funds are not earmarked for that. And then they could decide whether they punish you legally or not. And most times, like I said, when it's us, they always choose to legally punish.
Yeah, definitely agree.
I agree with that, brother. That part, brother. That part.
So one more thing I want to bring up, right? So here's the thing. Like I said at the beginning of the show in the intro, I just came back from vacation, and so I'm getting back into the swings of getting back in the algorithm.
Where you went to vacation to? Can we be nosy?
Yeah, I went to see my grandkids down south. And
Okay, all right. There we go.
yes, it's spend time with family. So the panels on Fridays, we usually talk about, FBA, reparations, Trump administration, or whatever. And like I said, I have topics lined up that I will be talking about going forward. I kind of wanted to do something light tonight, just to ease my way back into the rhythm of working or whatever. Thank you, Alonzo Dunn. Hey, Dana, I'm here, darling. Prior engagement, but I made it for you. Thank you. Appreciate you. So, with that said, because I want to stay on this Black immigrant, the continent of Africa, I'm staying on these Pan-Africans' asses. Definitely have to talk about reparations, have to talk about Trump administration and how it affects Black Americans. So those are the topics going forward. And I definitely want you guys to join next week panel as well. And real quick, before I get to this last topic here, you sent me this, Devon. Support data disaggregation. Disaggregation.
Yes, disaggregation. Yes.
Tell us about this.
Okay, so right now, kind of in line with this topic, which is why I sent it to you, even though I wanted to promote it either way. But, when we talk about authenticity, we talk about what's in touch and what's out of touch with the culture. One of the main things that we found, especially here in New York, is that in order for us to truly, really celebrate the culture has to be accurately defined, right? And so legislatively in New York, I mean, really around the country, but we're focused here in New York because, that's what we advocate. There is no governmental recognized term with which foundational Black Americans can receive specific redress of any kind. We can even take it outside of reparations. If we wanted to do like a housing program just for us, if we wanted to do small business loans, grants, or any of the like just for us, currently in every state, well, outside of California because they're starting the process, but every other state, there's no way to write that legislation with which it would not get challenged based on race and get overturned. And so disaggregation is that first step into getting it done and get it done correctly. So here in New York, We're going to go over the gory details, and how we can master the mundane, and what Brad brought up when he talked about how that works at that local level. But the bottom line is, we are fighting to get us a designation here in New York, with which we can then springboard into specific policies. Obviously, the ultimate goal is reparations at the federal level, but also we need to get some things correct at the state level, and data aggregation is the way to do that. So we are hosting a hybrid event. It's going to be in person for all those in New York that want to come out and break bread with us, no pun intended. And those that can't make it out in person, whether they're in state or out of state, there's also a Zoom option. And so that is also on that flyer that I sent you at the bottom. So if even whether you're in New York or not in New York, there are ways with which you can help us out. So definitely tap in with us. Like I said, whether you come out and meet us in person, or you come on the Zoom, we're going to be discussing data segregation, the steps that we're taking, and how you can help us out in New York to get that accomplished in this next session when it opens up in January. So we got some time, but we want to make sure that we plan so when January hits, we can hit the ground running and make sure we get our agenda heard, voted on, and passed.
And people could hit the QR code as well. I'm gonna swing back to that before we end the show, but I wanted you to introduce that. And let me know after you send what you was going to send me. Sway me. But I want to share this real quick because I want us to talk about this. Today, August the 8th, the FBI and the DOJ announced the extradition of 3 Ghanaian nationals for their roles in an international criminal organization that conducted romance scams and business email compromises, stealing over $100 million from dozens of victims. Yeah. Let's see.
And the Accra Magistrate Court has ordered the suspect to remain in custody whilst extradition proceedings continue. Investigators say that the group has been running scamming operations from 2016 to 2023, deceiving U.S. companies into making large wire transfers using spoofed emails and forged documents. Guys, you know what they say, 99 days for the thief. Don't be me talking.
3
Ghanaian nationals are said to be extradited to the U.S. over their role in a $100 million fraud scheme involved.
I can't take her voice. So yeah. So is this. So they're being extradited back to the United States for scamming. Right? Listen, I'm staying on this Black immigrant tether versus FBA because the streets are hot, especially on X. This African Union trying to co-opt our reparations. You got people thinking that we're all one and we're not. And when it comes to reparations, when it comes to our culture, our identity, yes, I do separate. I do. We are not all as one. So I just wanted to highlight how a lot of these, Black immigrants are scammers, but they be the first ones to sit up here and say that we don't have a culture or we're poor and we're this, we're that. But you come here scamming, and now, this Trump administration, they ain't playing around. $100 million. Defendants have been brought to the United States to be held accountable for their alleged roles in scamming companies and vulnerable Americans out of $100 million, deceiving businesses using email compromise campaigns and tricking innocent elderly victims through fraudulent companionship in order to exploit their trust and finances is not merely appalling but illegal. The FBI will continue to ensure anyone who preys on companies and vulnerable Americans online is made to face criminal justice system. So do y'all guys want to comment on that?
Well, we know that that's what they do, but to have them on the continent in their country been able to scam us on American soil, and then they extradite them to America to serve time. I said,
That's
they have.
landmark. That's landmark.
Yeah, it is, and I've been saying, hey, let's put them into slavery because you got the 13th Amendment, which is prison, right? So, and then that whole thing is you have been talking about us. You have been saying that we're lazy. We don't have a culture. All of these negative things about us, and we've helped you. We've helped your country. We've helped your people. So I'm like, hey, bring them over here and let them live in prison for a little while. Let's go ahead. Let's do that. Or send them to Alcatraz. Send them to Guantanamo Bay. Wherever you need to send them. Let's make sure that we set a precedence going forward. I agree.
You want to go, brother?
Yeah, I was. You know what? You can go if you want. I didn't want to, go over you.
No. You good? No, I come behind you. Pause.
Yeah, pause. I got you. So, man, Sway was just preaching, right? Like, man, it's so much that we could say here, and like again, just I'm glad you allowed me to give my spiel on the disaggregation event. Not knowing this is the next story, but I'm glad it's a perfect segue. This is why we have to delineate. Before delineation, this was just black crime. You understand what I'm saying? Like, this is what just was aggregated into our numbers. And these Afro immigrants understanding that what was happening was taking full advantage of that duality, right? And then using what their fellow countrymen do to then denigrate and pathologize us, right? Like, how insidious is that to know, yeah, I know it's my fellow Ghanaian that's doing this scamming, but right now, before delineation, disaggregation, it was just black crime. So I'm going to use the crime that my Ghanaian countrymen did to then tell black Americans that they constantly, consistently commit crimes. Like, this is the craziness that they were doing under the guise of blanket blackness, right? And they love when this is shown and this is told to them, because I posted about this story before. This very picture that you had up, I posted this on a couple of threads. They'll constantly talk about how this is a victimless crime, and what do we care, especially if the people that they're scamming are white Americans or people that we shouldn't care about. And this is kind of why Pan-Africanism has done its best to denationalize us as a people and make us quote unquote lost Africans. Because when and if we don't care what happens in our country, or we don't care about the country, then we would give this stuff a pass and let it be okay when it's not okay. And more importantly, allow them to have this dual identity where they could dump crimes onto our people under the guise of blackness, while then also taking those ill-gotten gains from the scams to point to and show as proof of why they work so much harder than us. Like, imagine if this doesn't come to light and they say, well, look at all these Ghanaians that came to America and made $100 million. No, it's look at these Ghanaians that came to America and scammed $100 million. But they'll take that number and take that money and throw it onto the success pile of the pathology of why and how Africans or Afro immigrants as a whole come here and quote unquote do better. No, you just run scams better than us. And you've been able to get away with those scams better than us, because whether it's Democrat or Republican, black Americans can't get away with shit. And what has happened is, and I always say this, how much of a bullet we dodged with Kamala losing. This stuff would have been going on and nobody would have been looking at it. Nobody would have been prosecuting it because they was giving them a green light. And as far as the reparations and them trying to colonize it and doing this scammy shit, I've said this on another podcast, another interview, and just online in general. I'll say it again here. You and your people might have sold my ancestors here, but you don't get to sell me a second time. And so we need this administration to do what it's doing, especially with illegal immigration as a whole, but these scamming ass immigrants all together, because they're using these successes of scamming to learn and cultivate the scam that they're trying to run on us for our remedial justice. And it's not going to happen on our watch.
Did you want to say something, Berman?
Yes, definitely. I'm gonna try to be short-winded, but I got a lot to say. I know you're trying to bring it in, big coach. So, what I say, number one, let's talk about immigration, right? Um, the Nigerians need to have their head on the swivel, big coach. Um, make no mistake, and this is why I get upset when I hear the African immigrants, even the Caribbean immigrants, right? Um, they talk like with so much unappreciation, not understanding that ain't nobody trying to what's the word? Revoke your citizenship or send your ass back like these essays, like these Mexicans, like these brown ones, right? They not doing that to you because you're hiding under the guise of being black. That's a fact. You think Hispanic people is the only illegal immigrants out here? You got life messed up. You got life messed up. But a lot of these people are able to hide under the guise of being FBA. They talk like us, they walk like us, they dress like us. So ain't no ice finna roll up on them. They ain't got time for that. They rather keep it simple and keep it funky, right? Business as usual. But we don't get no appreciation for that. That's number one. Number two, we can track down the money. And people think that, oh, y'all racist against your own. It ain't got nothing to do with that. When you talk about delineating, when you start, a lot of times you ain't even gotta say delineate. All you gotta do these days is say you a FBA. Say that in a certain spot and see what happens to you. That'll tell you everything you need to know. And it don't mean that it's nothing wrong with you. It means that people know that the jig is up. I'm a guesstimate. I'm a guesstimate since the 80s, since they made the bill, because we did all the hard work, big coach. We did all the hard work up until 79. Civil rights. Nobody come in here and say thank you for the civil rights. Nobody come in here and say thank you for not having for getting rid of Jim Crow. Nobody say come in here and say thank you for none of that. Say you lazy, you dumb, you lazy, you criminals. That's what they say about us. No appreciation for the foundation that Black America has laid for them. So we can go back to the 80s when they created this bill that opened the door for a lot of these people to come in and eat off of our table. And when I say our table, we're talking about reparations. I'm gonna guesstimate at least $5 trillion. I'm guesstimating. I say it's probably double. There's been at least $5 trillion wrongly appropriated. Because when you see that money going out into the community under the guise of being being an FBA, that's stealing, big coach. That's our reparations. That's a legal case that we have while they telling us, oh, we ain't got money, we can't do this. You giving the money to Ukraine, you giving money to the African braid shop, you giving money to the the Caribbean restaurant on the store. But when it's a regular black man, right, a regular black woman that come in there, it's problems. It's all kind of red tape. But I guarantee you, I want to do this experiment. If I take my ass back across to the African continent, get a fake ID as an African. Come in this mug with a dashiki on. I promise you, I would have $100,000 to start a business my first week landing. That's how the game go. And so it don't have nothing to do about being racist, about going against your own brother and sister. This is real business. We talking greens, dividends, cheese, people, and we need that. Like Aaron the plumber, I need that. And so Black America has understood that, oh, this is our time. Because you can get rid of all these people, the Mexicans, the legal Africans. You get rid of that group. Guess what? Guess it's gonna leave me and you here. Me and you here, white boy. Now we gotta talk business, cause y'all got a tab that y'all ran up. We got a legal case, the biggest case since the Jews. The Jews were able to get reparations for a lifetime. And they did that off of a belief in the book. Some people believe in it, some people don't. Some people call it fairy tale, some people say it's the Torah, it's Moses' word. We have a stronger case than that that connects directly to race, ethnicity. That's mine. And I'm going to end with this, Dana, because I don't want to drag it on too much. A lot of people don't understand. In order to get these reparations, I told Judge Joe Brown this. Although I agree with a lot of things he says, when he get locked in, he get locked in. And I can really rap with him because I learned a lot. But in order to really make this reparations a real thing, we got to look at the Diddy case. And what you mean, Brad? Look at the Diddy case. It was a RICO. So when we talk about reparations, the crimes against humanity, right, which is us, you have a legal case. You bring that before the world, but you have to involve everybody. You have to charge everybody that was involved in that. So we really dealing with our oppressors. I hate to say it. We really dealing with the people that committed crimes against us. So we're gonna have to charge not only Africa on the world stage, I mean not only America on the world stage, but we definitely got to bring West Africa and all those ports that participated in being the dealer and being the distributor. That's how you get real reparations. It's a RICO, and it's a lot. Spain got to come to the table. And that's all I want to say. But for people trying to make you feel bad, right, for doing knowledge on this, for enlightening yourself, for standing on this, bro, don't feel bad, because if you buy into that, anytime you feel weak, look at Dr. Umar. That is the last of Pan Africanism in America. That's what it's come to.
That's
And if you
a
keep,
good
if you
point.
come on, if you keep following that carrot on the stick, we're gonna be here for another 100 years, which is really a blip on the screen. That money coming. It's coming. But you have to get away from the Negro. You have to get away from the African American. Oh, yeah, all these names. We done had like 6, 7 names since we've been here. Now we locked in on this is my country. I was here before this baby was even born. That's a fact. You brought me over here. We built this country, and then you ran off on the plug. And you worked me to death to help you do that. When I was building this country, your ass was fighting against the Brits. That's a fact. So that means they can extradite and send everybody home. We ain't going nowhere. And that's how you get the reparations. With that, I yield. Dana, I thank you for bringing me up here. This is fine. I really appreciate you.
Yeah. Like I said, I'm getting back into the swing of things. I didn't realize, like, me, being on vacation, I didn't upload nothing, and you kind of.
Oh yeah,
I removed
YouTube nasty with it. Yes,
Matrix.
ma'am.
I was in the real world, removing myself from the Matrix. So now I'm back in the Matrix. Thank you, Alonzo. Again, he said it was Joe Biden that put the African Union onto our 2 trillion spending power. These Africans are the most poignant buffers that the white supremacy use against us. Now that the jig is up, white supremacy is going to break the tool. Going to break the tool. Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate that, Alonzo. Done. One more thing. Well, a couple of things. You also sent me this, Devon. What is this?
Yeah, so depending on how deep we got into the conversation, I didn't know where we was gonna go in regards to Joseph Cartagena, right? But this is what we're looking at right now is that's the demographics of the Mauritania area of the Bronx. That's where Fat Joe grew up. And so what I wanted to show is kind of in this fine print, it's a little small, but what it's showing is that present day, the population of that area, the Bronx, is about 53,000, a little bit over that.
Mm-hmm.
But it's 53% Latin and 44% Black. But at the same time, about 3 and 5, right? So about 60% of all the people in that area, the Bronx, speak a non-English language in the home.
Mm-hmm.
So I brought that up, and that's present day. But when we talk about there is no readily available data on the 1980 census, which is around the time Joseph would have been around 10, right? But by the time he gets to his 20s or getting ready to enter his 20s in 1990, that same area of the Bronx is already majority Latin. And the reason why I'm bringing that up is because he first said, you was coming toward this, talking about this. He first says that, oh no, blacks and Puerto Ricans built hip hop 50-50. More recently, he's on his podcast with Jada, and he's talking about how his Cuban father told him and warned him, like, hey, there are no Spanish people in this music by the time he was trying to get into it. So if it was built 50-50, then it would have been other Hispanic or Puerto Rican pioneers that he could have followed behind. But his dad was telling him there's no Puerto Ricans in this game right now, so why do you want to get into this music? So he already debunked his own lie.
Right.
But bigger than that is the idea around, and this is kind of going to what the legendary Star was talking about on his program when he was the only one checking Fat Joe on his use of the N-word.
Mm-hmm.
And so his excuse was, oh, I grew up around black people and they said it was okay.
Man,
so
my brother, preach, brother, preach.
So that's why I was using the language. But I wanted to bring up those demographics to show that his entire life is a lie, even his excuse on why he's using the N-word, because from his teens to his 20s, when culture is being kind of cultivated and manifested inside a person, the area that he grew up in was majority Hispanic, if not Puerto Rican. So there is no life that he lived where he was around all these black folks, and that's what caused him to say the N-word and use it in the way that he did, and feel like he was a part of the culture. No, he's always been a vulture on the outside. And I want to say this because we kind of touched on it, but I want to bring this point home. Whether you are Puerto Rican or Hispanic, or an Afro-immigrant from Africa or from the Caribbean, you emulating foundational Black American culture does not automatically make it your culture. So you are just a Jamaican emulating Black American culture. He was just a Puerto Rican emulating Black American culture. It doesn't magically become Puerto Rican culture and Jamaican culture because you are emulating our culture. And that's where the game got messed up. See, it's not just when people say, oh, it's in the Bronx and it's Bronx culture. Yeah, that is true. But let's be clear. It's foundational Black American Bronx culture, because there is Puerto Rican Bronx culture and there is Jamaican Bronx culture. And all those cultures are separate. They have similarities, but they are not the same. And so that is the nuance that's being erased when they try to say they helped create it, whatever. No, you came and contributed by emulating our culture, and then later down the line, maybe some elements of your culture got added in as your numbers started growing. But in the very beginning, you were just emulating us. And I want to bring our land here. There was another interview on the Breakfast Club with Kid from Kid and Play. And Kid is half Irish from his mom and half Jamaican from his dad. And he spoke about in that interview how his dad was against hip hop and rap when he was first in it. And his dad made the comment, oh, you really just want to be around this black music and live this black life. So they understood who really originated. This lie is something that's just been more recent, because even Kool Herc in older interviews have said, no, I didn't. There was nothing Jamaican about what I was doing. Matter of fact, they was laughing at me with the way I dressed, and they didn't want to hear nothing Jamaican or any reggae back then. He was playing Black American records when he was just playing the break. And so going back to Kid Landon here, Kid's dad even called, I think the term is like yaga music or some type of patois term. And what the term means is something that is less than, something that has no value. So his dad was calling it black music with no value from his Jamaican lens. And that's how all the ethnic groups in New York City viewed the music when it was being created and first cultivated. It wasn't until it blew up and became mainstream that all of them tried to jump on after the fact and say, no, I had a hand in it, I was there, and it's all bullshit.
I don't know what happened to Birdman. He'll probably pop back in. And then I wanna bring this up because Sway Me, you sent me this as well. talk about this.
Yes, so we have a Civics 101 workshop, and we is Freedmen Descendants Advocacy Group. And so what we're doing is we're attempting to make sure that we are educating our ethnic group on civics, so that first of all, the American government and the Constitution, because of the SCOTUS and the 14th Amendment that is upcoming in October, it's very important for our people to understand the Black laws, the 13th, 14th, 15th Amendment, and how they're playing into our environment right now, into history with this current administration. And so it's a two-part workshop. We do tomorrow. We go over the American government. We go over the Bill of Rights, Constitution, Declaration of Independence, and all of those positions that you have, from the executive to the legislative to the judicial branches. And then we'll also cover your local and state government on August the 16th, where we will be more interactive, because we want you to actually go and look up and research how your state is organized, your state offices, also your state constitution, and then any positions, since you spoke about Jason Lee, that you can look at on your local state government level, that you could possibly, if you're interested, run unopposed or interested in running a local state government. So that's where we will come in and we will assist and help. And we want to make sure we're educating our people that this is a great time for us to get in political positions. So that's what it's all about.
I'm gonna post that in my community, and email me the link to the website so people could go there, and I'll post that in the community tonight. I don't know what happened to Birdman, but let me pull up his YouTube, and I'm gonna put all you guys your YouTube handles in the description as well. But if y'all want to go and you follow Birdman on X, and you can subscribe to his YouTube channel, is at Birdman TV 832. Just type in Birdman TV and it'll pop up. So go and subscribe to his YouTube channel. And I want to thank him for coming on. I guess it could have been a connection thing. He dropped out. But I do want to thank Birdman for coming on. Appreciate you. Love to have him back. Of course, Sway Me, always welcome. And Divine, yes, honey. So I'll be hitting you up. So what I'm trying to do is, get a collage, have different people come up and talk about different things. And then just, so I could just start cultivating panels. Because like I know, this person specializes in that, or that person specializes in this. So yeah. So and it's to reintroduce you guys and introduce you guys to the audience, and promote what you have going on as well. So thank you guys for coming on. Dana got a couple of trolls. Yeah, of course. We love the trolls. Thank you guys for coming on. Want to definitely have you back next Friday, because it's going to turn to being more serious with the panels. Because I want to talk about the Trump administration and Black Americans. Like, is his administrating benefiting or harming Black Americans? So something to that effect. So that's going to be next Friday. So thank you, Sway Me. Thank you, Divine. Thank you, everybody that tuned in on X. There's people watching on X and here. Please like, please share. And thank you to Walter for sending me the super chat, and to Alonzo for donating tonight. So appreciate you guys. And I will see you live again on Monday, but where the panel will be back next week, Friday. All right. Good night, everybody.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Bye.